we can just go through this one by one. It's like, all right, you hear Matt Maiocco report that the 49ers like Trey Lance more than they ever have. Do you believe them? 888-957-9570. Do you believe that the 49ers, in fact, do like Trey Lance more than they ever have?
I don't. I think what this is, and I do like it, I think they're trying to build him up. And there's been a lot of, we're looking to trade him. We've heard it from people within the Niners organization. So I always talk about it. The mind game is half the game. It's more than half, Evan. So I feel like they're putting that out there to build Trey Lance up. I could be wrong, but it would be a good wrong if, what's he doing to where they're so high on him? He was your starting quarterback week 1 in Chicago last year. So it can't be higher than that. And the whole thing about Maiocco Sound, too, is, dude, when you get drafted this high, Evan, the CNN of it, the politics, you get to show the world what you have. And I just don't know if Brock Purdy is going to be that obstacle in the road because Brock was excellent. Are you telling me that we're 100% sure what Brock is to where you don't want to find out what's behind door number, what's Lance, number 5? Mm-hmm. That's just, I want to see both.
Well, it sounds like he also could be behind door number 3, which is the quarterback spot he might be slotted in. It's so confusing to me the way that they have spoken about him publicly and then the way that it appears that he's been treated. The actions and the words to me don't seem to match up. And that's why I'm with you. It seems like this
Which one is greater, Evan?
Well, the actions to me should be greater. How you treat someone, how you use someone, how someone performs, that should speak volumes. When we cover athletes, we talk about athletes, everything is ancillary compared to what they do on their respective playing field. So we start with how they are, whether it's basketball, baseball, football in this case, what you do on the gridiron should define you mostly. Now, of course, you get into, is a guy easy to deal with? Does he have chemistry issues? Is he a good public speaker? How does he deal with the media? All of that stuff is, to me, secondary to what you do on the field. And from what Matt Maiocco was saying, which is fair, is we haven't seen him on the field. So all we have to base right now is things that we hear, things that he has said, things that the team has said about him, and it all just conflicts. And to me, it creates a kind of a confusing narrative about where Trey Lance is in his progression, because to me right now, there doesn't appear to be a path available to him in order to be a starter if Brock Purdy is indeed healthy, which all signs point to him being.
I'm not mad at anything you said, but I will say this. You talk about actions and words. The biggest action to me was last year, week 1, or in training camp. They said, Trey Lance, you are our starter, for better or for worse. So, Evan, can you lose your job to injury? Because that's what essentially this would be if Trey Lance is not inserted or deemed quarterback number 1. And I don't expect that to happen, but there are a whole lot of people running with what the success Brock Purdy had and forgetting about a guy that they moved mountains to get who got injured in week 2. So I'm asking you, what has he not done at the practice facility, the laptop? Am I off basis? Am I living in the past to say and bring up that term, the phrase, you don't lose your job to injury? And does Kyle and company owe it to their organization to see what Trey Lance can do as a starting quarterback, given more than 2, assuming he doesn't get hurt again? Where is that part of it?
Well, I do think you can lose your job to injury. I mean, we've seen it throughout history, and especially in football. But look, if Lou Gehrig's coming down the road, Wally Pipp is done. That's why he's famous for who he is. A quarterback of a team that you got right now on your back, the Dallas Cowboys. Tony Romo went down to injury. Dak Prescott won X amount of games in a row. He's the guy.
That's a hell of a pull.
So, to me, that is an example of where you can lose your job to injury, and that's just the fact. And it's only because the guy who replaced you has been so successful. Now, is that fair to Trey Lance? No, absolutely not. But that's the reality that they're dealing with. And I just question whether the 49ers at this point, I think they have their hierarchy. They know who they want, Brock Purdy. But if there's a setback,
Evan, I step
I have
on y'all
no
day.
clue if they even have a contingency plan at this point because it appears they're taking it a day at a time.
But, okay, why did you say, and I'm asking, and I'm listening, why did you say you feel in regard to the hierarchy that it's Brock Purdy?
Because he hasn't lost a game.
Right, but the reason he got those games was the guy that's supposed to be the franchise quarterback or the guy that we owe it to our fan base and our organization to give an opportunity, right or wrong, to find out what he can do. Why are you so strongly to feel like it's Brock Purdy? Like, how can you ignore the rat on the table that is Trey Lance? That's my whole. Hey, how can you justify not giving this kid 8, 10, 12 games? Because are you going to go Steiny on me and say, Goo, he's doing something in practice that is so foul, or he's doing something that's so, the gravity of it is so enormous that we know he can't be successful? What do the Niners owe to themselves to find out about Trey Lance and if he is what we thought he was when Goodell went up there and said the Niners make a trade and this is who they're drafting?
I don't know if this comes off as controversial, but I don't think it has to do with what, like the question mark that is Trey Lance. I think it has to do with what they believe Brock Purdy is. And right now, he's undefeated in games that he's started and finished. Like, that's the reality. And so let's strip resumes aside. If Trey Lance and Brock Purdy were taken in the same spot at the same time in the same draft, who's got a better resume right now?
Brock Purdy. I can't even argue that.
So if we came into this season and you told me that Trey Lance deserves the chance to play, do you see how that might sound a little off-putting to a lot of people? Like, the only reason that we're having this conversation to me about Trey and whether he deserves something or whether he needs an opportunity or whether we got to find out is because of where he was drafted and what you gave up.
Which is a lot.
But it was also 3 years ago or 2.5. So right now, Trey Lance, his beginning in San Francisco is almost irrelevant at this point. Meanwhile, you got Mr. Irrelevant that's coming in to take his spot. Now, that's Kyle Shanahan saying we can win with Brock Purdy. I don't know if we can win with Trey Lance. And I don't think they're willing to find out if they can't win with Trey Lance.